Yeah, just it's been a great off week, great bye week last week, and really excited to get our guys back today in the building. And they got some hop in their step. They're ready to go, and really laser focused on getting a win in Boca Raton this Saturday. Looking forward to traveling with the team, getting some guys back healthy, which has been great. I think Coach Kitley down there has done an awesome job. In year one, they've been in every game and very competitive. They're sitting at 3-5, and they're last in the country in turnover margin, and I know that he's pulling his hair out with that, but it tells me they got a pretty good team, that they're still able to be competitive when they're losing the turnover margin like that, and typically that's the number one deciding factor in winning and losing. Going to be another dogfight. Our guys know that. They're absolutely prepared for it, and really, really looking forward to a late push here in the season. I want to see our team play our best football. I want to see us retain. I want to see us develop. I want to see us make plays at the moment of truth. And the want to, the desire is there. And what our players are learning as the year's going on in these close games, it's a few plays here and there, and we've got to find ways to make them. And when we make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. We don't need to drop our heads and say, oh, here we go again. So we've really talked a lot about that this week on both sides of the ball, about creating momentum, retaining momentum, and playing each play with a life of its own. And letting the chips fall where they fall. I think we're sometimes have habitized looking at the scoreboard and looking at things that really don't impact the game. And like I said, the want to, the desire's there. We had 2 great spirited practices last week. We'll have 3 or 4 more this week as we get prepared to go down there. The game plan is done. They didn't play a game Saturday. We didn't play a game Saturday, so we've had this plan done for a few days. Tweaking some things today in the red zone, short yardage, but absolutely going to give our players a great chance to go down there and be successful, see if we can make a few more plays than they do. But a lot of respect for Coach Kitley and what he's accomplished so far. They've gotten a lot better, and he took over a very similar situation as myself, and you can tell that they've made strides. So questions?
Is there a thing or one or two most important things that you think you accomplished in the last week?
Yeah, I think, Monday we came in and watched the entire game film as a team and as a staff from the opening kickoff to the last 2-point conversion that we didn't get, and took about 2.5 hours and had time to do it because we weren't practicing that day. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go through everything with everybody so everybody's on the same page and we're not pointing fingers or anybody thinks it's anybody else's fault. And there's 15 to 20 plays that showed up. One thing we really got to do defensively, if there's 2 things we've worked on this week, eliminating the big play, it's gutted us the last 2 weeks, and creating a turnover. We haven't forced a turnover in a long time. So when we get opportunities to get our hands on footballs and disrupt and be disruptive and cause chaos on defense, we got to do it in a way that doesn't give up the explosive but also creates a turnover. Offensively, I think you've seen us get better as the season's gone on. I think we had our best performance against Temple. Found some new wideouts, I think, emerged, and really used those guys last week and off week, and we'll use them again this week. It's good to see some new personnel show up. Schematically, hadn't changed a whole lot. I think Baylor Hayes has played 7 really good quarters of football in a row, going back to 27 points in 3 quarters against East Carolina, and then 37 points against Temple. So I'm very pleased with his progression. He needs to continue to get better. And offensively, we need to continue to find a way to make explosive plays. So if there's been one huge emphasis, defensively, we've got to limit the explosives. It's gotten out of hand the last couple of weeks. It's really cost us the games. And then offensively, we got to continue to find ways to create explosive plays, make people miss, call better plays. But look, I'm super, super excited about a late push here, and I think we can play our best football with some confidence.
This is the 3rd game this year that you've played against another first-year head coach in the conference. Do y'all have a secret handshake or anything like that?
We all just kind of shut up and keep up and let, Jeff Traylor and Summerall and all those guys, Golish and all those guys do all the talking. We don't have any bragging rights right now. We hadn't accomplished anything, so we just kind of sit in the back and pay attention, and we're like the new kid in class. But, Zach's been awesome. He's younger than me. He's an offensive guy. He calls the plays, so – yeah, looking forward to going against him. He's a good coach.
Is it all talk during media day, or and what are how much is any kind of regular communication between some of you guys, and just what has been What was the conversation like, I guess, at media day between the guys that were in the first year of the league?
Yeah, I mean, media days, you don't get to spend a ton of time together. We had one dinner together, but the league meetings were in Tampa in May, and we got to spend 2 days together. So, yeah, I mean, the older guys have been great. You know, Brian Newberry and Jeff Monken, and those guys have been in the league, kind of, you know, corralled us and say, hey, here's how things work. Here's what our league's good at. Here's where we have our weaknesses, and, you know, what stadiums are hard to play in, what locker rooms are like, what's the travel like. I'm figuring all that out for the first time. Well, a lot of these guys have done it for years. But, no, it's we all talk. We have a text message thread going, and, you know, it's pretty quiet most of the time. But we meet once a month as a conference with the commissioner and Craig Bowl, the head of the AFCA, American Football Coaches Association. Just 90% of our conversations about the state of college football. How can we make sure the American's in the absolute best spot it can be? How can I make sure Tulsa is in the absolute best spot it can be for the near future?
What is maybe a thing or two that you've learned in your first year here?
I think the league's really good. I think I probably underestimated that a little bit. It's a really good league, and it may be as good this year as it's ever been. I think there's going to be a lot of close games over my tenure here. I don't think in today's, you know, new style of college football, anybody's going to be just that much better head and shoulders talent-wise than the next guy. So you got to retain, you've got to develop, you got to coach really well in one-score games because there's going to be a lot of them. The travel's been great. You know, I love our team. I love our staff. I've learned a lot about those guys. You know, I would say I learn something new every day about somebody on our team or somebody on our staff, something about the university, something about our league. So I think it's important that I continue to grow and don't have all the answers. And I need to have people in my building and our building where I can find the answers and give ourselves the best chance to be successful in close games. And we're doing that this year. We're going to continue to do that down the stretch. But I think the biggest thing I've learned is how good this league is compared to the other group of six.
You have been fairly adamant that you believe that there will be several more new coaches coming into the league next year. What would be your maybe one best piece of advice for a new coach that takes over in the American next year?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think you need to really get a quarterback you believe in. You know, I think that is such a key piece right now because I think the offensive line play across the country is getting worse because nobody's staying at schools consistently. You need a quarterback who can kind of rally the troops and make plays outside the pocket, a creator a little bit in this league. I think the D-lines are really good. But no, I think we'll have 4 to 5 new head coaches. I really do. I think a lot of our guys we got a lot of talent in the coaching industry. We got a lot of talent on the field because the Americans paying their rosters competitively, and I think you're seeing coaches win games, and we've got 6 or 7 wins against the Power 4 opponents, and big schools are going to come after our talent, both on the field and in the coaching box. So, I think the coach that does the best job retaining and keeping the core of the organization together and keep the building moving in the right direction is going to have one with a great advantage. If you can retain and also add 12 to 15 really, really talented transfers, that'll be the teams. I think, and you see Eric Morris did it this year. I think North Texas was 5-7, 6-6, 5-7 his first 2 years. But he got a lot of guys coming back. He got some continuity in the building, hit on a couple quarterbacks, and now, you know, they hit the schedule right, and they're 7-1, I think, or 8-1, or maybe 7-2. But they're having a really good year. It's all about your schedule, your quarterback play, and kind of the temperature of the league right now is really good.
Is it just this year issue with offensive line play, or has this been kind of trending in this direction in the portal era?
I think since the transfer portal started, you know, my cousin is played quarterback at Appalachian State, and they had their great run when they moved up from the FCS to FBS. I think, you know, with Scott Satterfield and Eli Drinkwitz, they had like 4 or 5 straight 12-win seasons. I want to say my cousin won like 41 games as a starting quarterback there in 4 years, most of in the history of the school. In all 4 years, he had 4 of the O-linemen that started, the same guys. They had one position that was different. That's just not going to happen. These linemen are being paid too much money. There's too much at stake to have a big tackle or a good interior player, to keep that player for 4 years is pretty unrealistic. So we've got to do a great job evaluating there. But, that position, they get better when they play together, and you're just seeing so many plug-and-play guys. So I think O-line play across the country since the transfer portal started has gotten worse.
It's magnified this year, particularly in the conference, because, as you mentioned, the D-lines are good in a lot of places.
Yeah.
I mean, not just here. I mean, everyone that we've seen so far has been pretty good, or at least had one dude.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we're putting a huge priority on speed, right? Like speed on offense. You look at the teams that are scoring. Memphis, real speed, running back, wide receiver. East Carolina, 2 receivers that can really run and a back that can go from far. North Texas got some guys that can really run. And this is stuff we evaluate. South Florida can run. FAU can run. And you look at the guys that touch the ball for us the most. Baylor Hayes, okay, creative. Wouldn't say he's a burner. He's not going to score from 60, but he's creative and he's elusive. Get you out of some stuff. Zion Booker, who you love him, but he's 7 catches, 70 yards. That's who he is. He's not that guy. He's not a home run hitter. Brody Foley, not a home run hitter. He's give you 3 touchdowns and 6 catches for 100 yards. The guys, Dom Richardson's not a home run hitter. It's not who he's a hammer. I love him. I love all these guys, but those are the 4 players on our team that are touching the ball the most, and not any of those guys can hit from far. So right now, when we call plays, it is 8, 10-play drives to score. And then you watch some of these other teams, you're like, okay, they just threw a bubble to a real fast guy and made one guy miss, and they score from 60. That's really what our offense is missing right now. We have got to put a premium on speed. Steptoe's given us a little bit of that with the jet sweep stuff. But the lack of consistency with speed on offense is where my concern. I want guys next year that can hit from distance because it's frustrating having to call the perfect play.
We know, I think, more about FAU offensively than what we do defensively. What do you see when you look at them?
I think they're very well coached on defense. They've struggled tackling, down the stretch here. I think they're very sound. They love getting extra hats in the box. They want to stop the run. I think their safeties are really good run fitters. Like you can tell, there's multiple snaps. There's 8 guys in the box. They're going to do the same to us. They're going to make Baylor Hayes beat them. He's a freshman. I'd do the same thing. They're chaotic. They play a lot of man coverage. We'll see more man coverage this week than we've seen all year. Temple played probably 25 snaps of man coverage, and we got caught on a couple rub routes. So that's something we've addressed with our wide outs and tight ends of making sure we're getting those clean and talk with the officials about how we can be better to not get it called on us because we're going to have to do it again this week. And, they're a man operation. They like to play man. They like to play on body coverages, and they're aggressive. I mean, I think Zach's thought process is give me the ball back. Give me the ball back. He wants the ball. And he does a great job designing plays, and he's a good play caller, so I don't blame him. But they're more aggressive. They like to blitz. They like to load the box. They like to play man coverage.
I've been impressed with Baylor's maturity, the way that, he speaks to us in postgame, and he's the first one to tell you, he's like, dude, I just got to be better. Mm-hmm. What have you seen from just a growth and a maturity factor in him, even though he's still an incredibly young guy? Well,
he's starting to win over the locker room. When you make plays like he did and you see it on film in front of the team, you're like, holy cow, that was pretty special. Those guys start believing, and they believe in him, and he's starting to earn the respect of his teammates. And you do that through good play. Like anybody can stand up there, yell and scream, be a good leader, and carry weight. Like that's Chris Thompson, that's Ray Coney, that's some of our louder guys. That's Jalen Kennedy. But when you got sweat equity and you're backing it up with good play, that's when special things can happen because now they not only do they listen to you, they believe in you, and they know you're going to get the job done.
Coach, with the losing streak at this point, what do you see in the guys' eyes? What do you see in their action that tells you that they have not lost sight or not let go of that rope?
Yeah, I mean, biggest thing we're talking about now is just playoff football, right? We want to play our best football in November. I think that's the traits of a really good team, a well-coached team, a well-trained team physically in the weight room. We don't have a ton of season-ending injuries, so I'm hoping we look fresh when we come out. But the spirit we have in the locker room at practice and team meetings is as locked in as it was in August. I think these guys still believe they can be good. I think these guys see it on film that, hey, it's a few things here and there, a few plays that one guy doesn't do his job, and all of a sudden it's 14-7, we're losing. But also think they see the potential, right? They see the potential in what we can accomplish. They see the potential of our coaching staff. They see the potential of what's on film. We've played great in moments. We just got to get that play more consistent, and I think they believe in that. They really believe that. I mean, there's not one day I go in there I'm like, well, we've lost them. Not one time, not one player. Even the seniors that aren't playing a ton that transfer here, there's a few of those that I've had to have conversations with, and there's not been any issues. So I'm proud of it.
You mentioned offensive line and how hard it is to cobble together with the changing way college football is run now. Is it easier, though, on the flip side, to get a defensive line because it's just basically go get the guy that has the brown thing, or is that too simple?
No, I agree with you. I think, the market right now, it's really easy to find a running back. It's really easy to find linebacker, safety, wide out. The positions that are difficult are interior D linemen. Edge guys, we watched like 6 of those today, and we feel like we can get an edge guy. Interior D linemen are tough right now because we want bigger, like 6'5", 300. We want some size in there. And then offensive tackle is almost impossible. An average offensive tackle is going to go make $1 million in the Power 4. It's just like the NFL, right? Your biggest contracts go your corners, quarterbacks, left tackle, pretty consistently, wide out. So it's not that a whole lot different. But, yeah, we are continually trying to improve the lines of scrimmage, and I think we'll find a way to do that and be better here down the stretch and next year.
You talked about guys coming back, from injury this week. Could you mention some of the guys?
Jaquan Adams will be back. Zion Booker's been banged up all year. He's had an ankle, a shoulder, a back herniated disc, but he's played through it all. But, like, guys like that, Cam East had a knee. He played through it last week. But, like, having an extra, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off from physical work really makes you feel better. So I'm hoping those guys some of those lingering injuries feel better. Herb will be back. He played last game, but it's just late in the season. I mean, people got bumps and bruises, and but yeah, I expect Jaquan to start, and I expect us to be healthy coming into this week and the last 4 weeks.